Let's now start with branch tissues. What is a tissue? A tissue is a group of cells which are there to perform a similar function or similar functions. Branch tissues have meristems and permanent tissues. Among the meristems, we have the apical, lateral, and intercalary. Permanent tissues, we have ground tissues and vascular tissues. Among the ground tissues, we have parenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Among parenchyma, we have epidermis, mesophyll, epidermis, pericycle, parenchyma, and secretory cells. Permanent tissues also have vascular tissues, Etherium and Ephrem. We are going to go into detail one by one. We start with the meristem tissues. We can also call them meristematic tissues. Here you find on the picture, it can be a root with its region of elongation down and region of differentiation. Inside there, we have vascular bundles, that is phloem and xylem. We have cambium also, procambium, ground meristem, and protoderm. We also have the apical meristem. Remember that apical meristems are those two tissues which assure the growth in length. Meristem tissues, this is a group of cells which retain the ability to divide by mitosis, specialized to carry out specific functions such as reproduction, growth, photosynthesis, and replacement of old or damaged tissues. It's made of small cells with a central large nucleus and dense cytoplasm, thin walled, with no or small vacuole, and no specialized features, and no intercellular air spaces. I want to hear from you. Do you get me well?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much. Now we start with types of meristematic tissues. We have the apical meristems, which are located in the root and shoot apex at the growing points of roots and stems. These are responsible for primary growth, leading to the increase of primary plant body. Apical meristems, first of all, should retain their location and their role, located in the root and shoot apex at the growing points of roots and stems, responsible for primary growth, leading to the increase of primary plant body. We have lateral meristems, cambium, in lateral parts of the plant where they are responsible for secondary growth. The cambium gives rise to secondary vascular tissues or secondary xylem and secondary phloem in dicotyledonous plants. Intercalary meristems, they are found in the region of permanent tissues, like at nodes of monocotyledonous plants. Example of sugarcane. It allows growth in length to occur between the internodes. The intercalary meristems are generally found in grass. What is the function? Functions of meristematic tissues. The main function of is to produce the new cells by mitosis. The cells elongate and differentiate to form new cells for primary growth of shoot and root. Vascular cambium produces new cells to increase the diameter of stems and roots during secondary growth. My dear friends, let's differentiate between primary growth and secondary growth. Primary growth involves growth in length, while secondary growth involves growth in thickness or in size. Do you get me?
Yes.
We have cork cambium called ferrogen, produces the outer cork layer called pherem, which consists of subelide cells. The cork layer reduces water evaporation from the plant and protects the plant against the entry of pathogens. This is the cork cambium. We are in functions of meristematic tissues. The intercalary meristems allow growth and increase in length in regions other than the tips. Let's go back above there to see on the diagram whereby you have meristems and the permanent tissues. You see that we are now finished with apical and lateral intercalary meristems. We end with them. We continue now with permanent tissues, in which you have ground tissues and vascular tissues. Now, permanent tissues consist of two groups of tissues, such as ground and vascular tissues. With ground tissues, these are plant tissues which function in storage, metabolism, and support. There are three types of ground tissues. We have parenchyma, parenchyma, and sclerenchyma tissues. We start with parenchyma tissues. This is a soft plant tissue made of thin wall cells that forms the greater part of leaves, stem pith, roots, and fruit pulp. There are the many sites for physiological and biochemical processes in the plants, including photosynthesis, protein synthesis, and storage of starch and mineral ions. Parenchyma tissues can be found in epidermis, mesophyll, endodermis, pericycle, parenchyma, and secretory cells. Characteristics of parenchyma tissues: they consist of large living cells with relatively thin wall containing cellulose, pectin, and hemicellulose. Parenchyma tissues consist of cells usually having a large central vacuole. They are often partially separated from each other. Sponge cells present intercellular spaces that intervene in gaseous exchange and transpiration through stoma. They are usually stuffed with plastids. Parenchyma tissues consist of cells with polygonal and spherical shapes in the leaf. They form the mesosphere and are located between upper and lower epidermis. They are responsible for photosynthesis. Parenchyma tissues, you should remember that these are living tissues. They are able to carry out all characteristics, physiological characteristics, and the main one is photosynthesis. In the leaves, parenchyma tissues form the mesosphere and are sites for photosynthesis, gaseous exchange, and transpiration. They store food substances such as starch, proteins, and lipids. They can be modified to form specialized cells to carry out other functions in epidermis, endodermis, pericycle, parenchyma, and secretory cells. Adaptations of parenchyma for its function. Parenchyma can become specialized to carry out specific functions. Example, mesosphere has cells with many chloroplasts, which helps in photosynthesis and gaseous exchange. Cells are usually packed with many large intercellular spaces. This permits diffusion of gases. They have thin cellulose cell wall which is permeable so that it permits passage of materials. The walls are transparent and permit entry of light in photosynthesis cells. Large cells with large vacuoles provide space for storage of substances. Leucoplasts act as storage of starch, while chromoplasts present in some cells. They are there to attract insects for pollination. These are parenchyma. You see that those cells in plants are there in sets to contain these tissues we are studying now. Here you find the picture of a parenchyma tissue. Apparently, it is a living tissue. Their cells are elongated with irregularly thickened cell walls that provide structural support, particularly in growing shoots and leaves. Their thick cell walls are composed of cellulose and pectin. These cells are often found under the epidermis or the outer layer of cells in young stems and in leaf veins. Now here you find the parenchyma tissues opposed to the parenchyma tissues. First of all, you find they are long, found in the hard parts of the plant body, common in roots, stems, leaves, and petioles. They may be present in patches, groups, or layers. The cells of the parenchyma are dead. They are elongated, narrow, and thick-walled and dignified. They are pointed at both ends, where it gives strength, rigidity, and flexibility to the plant body. It consists of fibers and scleroids. Let's now compare between parenchyma and parenchyma. Parenchyma, I noted it, they are made of living cells. while Parenchyma are made of dead cells. Parenchyma, they have tapering ends which do not overlap, while Parenchyma, they have tapering ends which overlap and they interconnect, they interlock. Parenchyma ensure mechanical support and flexibility, while Parenchyma ensure mechanical support only. For Parenchyma, they have cell wall which is not lignified, while for Parenchyma, they have cell wall which is lignified. Vascular tissues now, they consist of two kinds of conducting tissues. First of all, let's go back to the diagram detailing all types of tissues. We ended with, we have this, done meristems, apical, lateral, and tancarare. We described all of them. We are now in permanent tissues. We are in ground tissues and vascular tissues. On the vascular tissues, we have phloem and xylem. For ground tissues, we have parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Remember, we described parenchyma and sclerenchyma, their location and their roles. Vascular tissues, these are of two kinds, xylem and phloem. Xylem is responsible for conduction of water and dissolved minerals nutrients, while the phloem is responsible for conduction of elaborated food. Elaborated food, that is an organic food which is made from the leaves. Can give examples of sugars. They go downwards from the leaves downwards the other parts of the plant. Xylem are made of dead cells which have the cell walls removed at the end of the cells. They are involved in the movement of water through a plant from its roots to its leaves via the stem. Xylem vessels are hollow tubes or lumen with a thick strengthened cellulose cell wall acting like pipes, allowing water and dissolved minerals from soil to flow through them. The cell walls in xylem vessels contain a substance called lignin, which strengthens the cells and gives the structural support. Here we have the pictures of xylem vessels made of, here you see the strengthening wall, sieve plate, and the vessel member, tracheids, water and minerals. You find the arrows upwards, means that xylem vessels transport from down to up, from the soil upwards to the other parts of the plants through the roots. Now let's go to the phloem. Phloem vessels are involved in translocation of elaborated substances that like sugars produced during photosynthesis and other soluble food molecules. In contrast, xylem, phloem consists of columns of living cells. The cell walls of these cells do not completely break down, but instead form small holes at the ends of the cell. The ends of the cell are referred to as sieve plates. The movement of food substances through the plant is called translocation. Now you find phloem, you find that arrows now are from up to down. Normally, they are made of companion cells. as food storage cells. Now let's compare between xylem and phloem. For xylem, in terms of transport, water and mineral from roots to the shoots and leaves, this is upwards, while for phloem, sugar and amino acids produced in leaves during photosynthesis to every part of the plant. Process, we have transpiration in xylem, while in phloem we have translocation. For structure, xylem are cylindrical cells arranged end to end in which the cytoplasm dies and the cell walls between adjoining cells breaks down, leaving a dead empty tube with strengthened cell walls. For phloem, these are tubes made up of columns of ringed cylindrical cells. The cell walls between adjoining cells develop holes like a sieve, allowing transport through the tube. Components, xylems are made of dead cells and fibers, while phloem are made of living cells and companion cells. Direction of flow for xylem is upwards, while for phloem we have up and downwards. In terms of permeability, xylems are impermeable, while phloem are permeable. For cytoplasm, xylem have no cytoplasm, while phloem have cytoplasm lining. For cell wall thickness, xylems are thick, phloems are thin. For cell wall materials, xylem are formed by lignin, while phloems are formed by cellulose. I find these terms of differences are very interesting. Differences between xylem and phloem. All of these were about plant tissues. Now, let's have a look in animal tissues. There are 4 basic types of animal tissues, such as epithelial tissue, muscle tissue, nervous tissue, and connective tissues. For epithelial tissue, they consist of closely packed cells arranged in single or multi-layered sheets. Epithelial tissues are made up of layers of tightly packed cells that form the external surfaces of the body and cover the outer and the inner surfaces of the organs. Epithelial tissues, please, are those which are found especially on our skin. They are there for protection against the entry of microbes or other pathogens. Some are specialized to form glandular tissues. The epithelium lining the inside of the heart, blood cells, and lymph vessels is referred to as endothelium. 2 criteria for classifying epithelia are the number of cell layers and the shape of cells on their free surface. Among the epithelial tissues, you have one simple cuboidal epithelium. This is a tissue with cells that are cuboidal in shape. Cuboidal cells are specialized for secretion and they make up the epithelia of kidney tubules and many glands, including salivary glands and thyroid gland. We have also simple squamous epithelium, which is thin, leaky, and functions in the exchange of material by diffusion. This type of epithelium lines blood vessels and air sacs of lungs, where the diffusion of nutrients and gases is critical. We have also simple columnar epithelium, which are columnar in shape with a free surface containing extensions of microvilli. They line the intestines. This epithelium secretes digestive juices for the final stages of digestion and absorbs nutrients to bloodstream. We have pseudo-stratified ciliated columna, which forms the mucous membrane that lines the nasal passages of many vertebrates. The beating cilia move the film of mucus along the surface. For these types of epithelial tissues, what is needed is to able to locate them in our body. In which part of the body can you find such kind of epithelial tissue? We have also stratified squamous epithelium. It regenerates rapidly by cell diffusion near the basal lamina. The new cells are pushed outward too and replace cells that are sloughed off. This epithelium is commonly found on surfaces subject to abrasion, such as the outer skin and lining the esophagus, anus, and vagina. We have transitional epithelium. This is a type of stratified epithelium. The surface cells change their shape from round to squamous. It lines the urinary bladder. When the bladder is empty, the surface cells are rounded. As the bladder fills urine, these cells become flattened. It enables the bladder to fill and stretch without tearing the lining. We continue with epithelial tissues. We have stratified columnar epithelium. It is a rare type of the epithelial tissue composed of column-shaped cells arranged in multiple layers. They are found in the conjunctiva or the eye, in parts of the pharynx, anus, uterus, male urethra, and vas deferens. We have also stratified cuboidal epithelium. It is a type of epithelial tissue composed of multiple layers of cube-shaped cells. Only the most superficial layer is made up of cuboidal cells, and the other layers can be cells of other type. It has several locations in our body, including sweat gland ducts, egg-producing vesicles, and ovaries. Now we are finished with epithelial tissues. We finished them. Now we continue with muscular tissues, muscles. They consist of elongated cells held together by connective tissue. Highly specialized in that they are able to shorten to a half or even a third of their resting length by the process of contraction. The contraction is caused by two types of fibrous proteins, that is myosin and actin. Muscles in the body provide the necessary force for the motion, and they convert chemical energy into kinetic or mechanical energy. Muscular tissues. There are three types of muscle tissue. Smooth muscle, which is found in the inner linings of organs. Skeletal striated muscle attached to bone and helps the movement of the body. We have also cardiac muscle, which is found only in the heart. Smooth and cardiac muscles are involuntary muscles, whereas skeletal muscles are called voluntary muscles because they are under voluntary or conscious control. Among the muscular tissues, you have smooth muscle, also called unstriated, unstripped, involuntary or visceral muscle, found in the walls of the hollow internal organs such as blood vessels, intestinal tract, urinary bladder, and uterus. Smooth muscles have the following features. It is under control of the autonomic nervous system. They cannot be controlled consciously, so they are also called involuntary muscles. These are smooth muscles. They do not have striations. Smooth muscle cells contract slowly and rhythmically. We have cardiac tissues found in the walls of the heart and is under control of the autonomic nervous system. It has the following basic features. It contracts and relaxes continuously. It is branched and connected to other cardiac muscle fibers through intercalated discs, which are reinforced membranes that hold the cells together during contractions. These interconnections or intercalated discs between the fibers ensure rapid and uniform spread of excitation throughout the cell wall, the wall of the heart, which in turn ensures a synchronous contraction. Synchronous contractions means going in the same manner without opposing one another. Synchronous, anonymous, unanimously. They are myogenic. Their contraction originates from within the heart itself. Among muscular tissues, you also have skeletal muscle called striated, striped, or voluntary. They are attached to bone and are responsible for body movements and body posture. There are approximately 639 skeletal muscles in the human body. This is an example of skeletal muscle. Characteristics of skeletal muscles: they are under control of voluntary nervous system. They are attached to bone, and this is the reason why they are called skeletal muscles. They are made of elongated and cylindrical muscle fibers. They appear under microscope to have alternate light and dark bones, and this is why they are called striated muscles. Their muscle fibers are multinucleated, which means they have many nuclei per cell. These muscle cells also contain light and dark stripes called striations. Let's find now the function of the muscles in general. The main function of muscles is its contribution to motion, where body movements such as walking, breathing, and speaking, as well as movements associated with digestion and the flow of fluids take place. Muscles contribute to the heart heat production, maintenance of posture, and the body support and communication through facial expression, writing, and speech. The list is not exhaustive. Let us go to the nervous tissue, composed principally of densely packed cells called the nerve cells or neurons that together form the nervous system, including the brain and spinal cord. Neurons are specialized for transmitting electrical nerves or electrical impulses. Here we find a neuron, which is having cell body soma, dendrites, axon of fiber, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondrion, among others, as their parts. Nervous tissue, a typical neuron has three main parts: cell body, dendrites, and axon. The cell body or soma is the main part from which extensions derive: axon and dendron. It is made of a great spherical nucleus, granular cytoplasm, and controls all nerve cell activities. The dendrites, dendron when single, small branches attached to the cell body and they receive nerve impulse from other neurons. Axon or synapse is the thinner nerve fiber that carries messages away from the cell body and can be as long as 1 meter. In some neurons, the axons have a fat terminal sheath formed by strand cells which wrap themselves around the axon to increase the speed of impulse transmission. Let's now go to the connective tissues, made up of many different types of cells that are all involved in the structure and support of the body. Bone, blood, fat, and cartilage are all connective tissues. Connective tissues can be densely packed together as bone cells are loosely packed as adipose tissue or fat cells are. A connective tissue is made up of a variety of cells embedded in the large amount of intracellular substance called matrix and fibers, which are non-living products of the cells. What are the functions of connective tissues? Connective tissues protect and support the body and internal organs. They act as connecting systems, binding all other tissues together. They also form surrounding sheaths to separate the various organs. Today, we have seen now tissues. We define a tissue as a set of cells which are there to perform similar functions. We have seen that we have tissues in plants and we have tissues in animals. In tissues in plants, you have seen parenchyma, parenchyma, sclerenchyma, among others. The list is long, and you have described all of them, each one separately. And we have seen that when you talk about a tissue, you should first of all understand its location. Where is it located in the body part? Or is it located in the plant part? Apart from the location, you go to the role, function, or responsibility of that tissue. Among the tissues in animals, you have seen these connective tissues, the nervous tissues, among others. And it seems that we are all familiar with the tissues in animals because we studied the nervous system from O level. We studied connective tissues, which is blood, bone, cartilage. We all of them know. Now let's go to these exercises, which are not many, to test our understanding of the course today. Number one, which type of tissue forms glands? We have epithelial, connective, nervous, and muscles. For yours.
Teacher, the first one is D.
Okay, muscles.
Thank you. I'm sorry for delaying, but I think on number 2, it's C.
Connective, muscular, epithelial, and nervous. Very good. That is the right answer. Number 3, which type of tissues form glands? Yes. I see the Itanga and Serene, they raise their hand. Tumukunde.
Okay, for the question number 3, which type of tissues form glands? I think D.
Muscles. It is the like number 1. Oh, Sorry, the answer has been repeated. No, sorry, the question was repeated. Okay, state where in the front plant you would find lateral meristem, intercalary meristem, apical meristem. Each A, B, C is found where? Where can we find lateral meristem in the flowering plants? Yes, two people raise their hand. Who are they? Yes, yes. Aline?
Thank you very much. On number 4A, I think lateral meristem is found in roots. Thank you.
In the roots. Any other option? Yes. Tumukunde, where are you? I see you raised your hands, but I don't know. I get to know your names. Those who raised.
It's me. I am Nkuzabo, and yes, and
Mugabo, it's the first time to
4.
see you here. Eh? From where are you?
Yes.
From where are you, please? Present yourself.
I am from Kicukiro at Gatenga.
Your school?
Lycée de Kigali.
Which class?
S4 PCB.
Okay, welcome.
On number 4, I think C, apical meristems are located in the root and shoot apex.
Very good. Roots and shoots. Another? What about intercalary meristems? Where do we find them in the flowering plant? I see two raised hands, but I don't get their names. How can I? Tumukunde, yes. Tumukunde is talking, but I don't get you. I don't hear you. I don't know why. Tumukunde, I don't hear you. Tumukunde, I don't hear you. You are talking, but I don't hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. For the intercalary meristem, I think they're found in the root and shoot.
They can be found in the roots.
Yeah, and shoot.
Shoot or shootings, those from which flowers are coming, those parts. Yeah, yes, for shoots. Intercalary meristems, first of all, in the roots, evidently, yes. Okay. And the shooting parts also is possible. Thank you. Okay, I think there is no question. If there is any, now you can ask. Before, there is another question here, please. There is another question. Let's now complete the table. Complete the following table by filling in the examples of respective tissues. You have categories of tissues according to their functions. Growth tissues, example.
Okay. If I can try, I think.
Yes, Irene.
Okay. I think I can put apical meristem.
For growth tissues, you put meristems. Yes. For protective tissues. Yes, Irene.
Thank you. On protective tissues, I can put there sclerenchyma.
Sclerenchyma. Yes, Parenchyma, yes, good. For storage tissues, Itanga. Mukundi, you talk, I don't hear you. You talk, I don't hear you. For storage tissues, Aline.
Thank you. On storage tissues, I can put there parenchyma.
Very good, Parenchyma. Tumukunde, for support tissues,
Okay, for supportive tissue, I can put sclerenchyma.
very good. For connecting tissues, Tumukunde again. You talk, I don't hear you.
Okay, for conductive tissue, okay, for the connective tissue, I can put the vascular tissues.
Vascular tissues, good. Aline, for secretory tissues,
For secretory tissues, I can put there those like parenchyma.
Search for another.
Let me search for another one.
Yes. I don't agree with you 100% about secretory tissues as parenchyma.
Okay.
You have types of tissues, please. Okay, secretory tissues. It's the one we are out there, on which we are. Secretory tissues. I put parenchyma.
Yes.
Ah, okay, okay. See there, huh? Do you see the diagram? Ah, it seems you are following very carefully. Eh? Thank you very much. It rejoices me. Yeah?
Welcome.
Okay, any question? Any question about the unit of today?
No.
If there is no any question, I can say that this is the end of our unit. Unit 5. Next time we'll start with Unit 6 on Friday at 10 a.m. sharp. I thank you, all of you, calling you upon you to sensitize this activity of ours to your colleagues and friends. And remember that you have another course, another class of chemistry today in the afternoon. Do you know this? At 3 p.m. you have chemistry class. Otherwise, I thank you very much again. Let's call it a day. See you on Friday at 10 a.m. Let's remember also one thing, that Friday is for O level, but as you know, you see that O level and A level biology are a bit similar. You can take your time revising, please. Even though it will be O level, some contents, some matters of A level will be involved also. You can have your time on Friday at 10 and revise. This is biology in general. Thank you very much. See you then.